Hey, is your local SEO company running you around? Ben Fisher's going to show you what actually works in Google My Business and the dumb things that they're doing to cause you to get suspended. Stay tuned. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Coach U Show. Today, we have a special guest who is a Google Platinum product expert. I've known him since, I want to say, 2004 or so.
About 2004.
A dinosaur of the internet? No, but actually one of the smartest people. And today we're going to talk about Google My Business. Ben Fisher is the owner of Steady Demand. And we're going to talk about, from a local business standpoint, what do you need to do to rank in Google My Business? How do you overcome spam and reviews? What happens when you get blocked or in trouble with GMB, and all other things that you need to know about GMB? Welcome, Ben Fisher.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dennis. Long time no chat. Yeah, we just had you on Local Marketing Institute. So good to see you again, buddy.
And everyone here, Ben is a giant in the world of local. So you definitely should follow him, follow his podcast, and follow what he's doing at Steady Demand. So Ben, for our audience of dentists and doctors and real estate agents and other local service businesses, what is the whole thing with GMB?
All right. Well, the basics of it comes down to this, is that 90% of the business is driven by Google My Business for any merchant, okay, or business. So I don't care if you're a dentist, you're a doctor, or you're in real estate, or if you're a lawyer, it really doesn't matter, because the business that's going to come to you comes from Google. That's a fact. I forget the percentage off the top of my head, but I think it's like 86% of searches are being done on Google. And the other thing is that Google's kind of job with Google My Business is kind of twofold. Number one is to keep you, the searcher, on Google. Also, in tandem with that, is to provide as much information about a business so that you can make an educated decision in less than 5 seconds. And that's kind of how they structure Google My Business, is to give you all of those answers as quickly as possible. And we all know that when Google first started, with backrub, all that, the whole idea is to provide as much information as possible, organize it, and display it. The secondary piece of Google My Business that really touches onto consumers is going to be maps. So everybody uses maps. And basically, yeah. So, I mean, if you've got a storefront type of business, or even a service area based business, but in this case, we're talking storefronts mainly, people are just going to come to Google, and then they're going to do a transaction, and they're going to find out about you. They're going to be looking at your reputation right there, and they're going to make a decision. And that decision is going to be very binary. It's going to be, I'm going to contact you, or I'm not. So you've got that 5 seconds to get my attention. Anyway, yeah, and then earn my business.
So what's the secret in ranking in the local 3-pack?
Secret to ranking in the local 3-pack. Everybody asks this question. Man, if I had $1 for every time somebody asks this question, geez. Anyway, no, but the answer is also very straightforward too, and very quick, believe it or not. So the first thing is that you need to understand about local and organic, the template links, right, etc., or whatever you want to call it these days, is that the two algorithms, the local algorithm and the organic algorithm, basically share a lot in common, okay? So you've got X amount number of signals that are being utilized for organics, and then when it comes to local, there's actually not that much. It's proximity, relevance, and prominence. Yeah. 3 things. Now, those 3 things can be chopped down into a couple different areas and ways, but without getting too deep on those, and we can talk about those if you want to, by the way, Dennis, is the fact that when it comes to the mechanics of it with GMB, you're looking at the name of your business, okay, whether it has keywords in it or not, right? So for instance, for a real estate agent, if you have XYZ, name, with, say, group, and then real estate, or, well, you can't use realtor, obviously, but real estate, then you're going to probably come up with real estate, or if you have to say the city name in your business name, but that could be a little bit crazy. The second thing is going to be your category. You have to nail your category correctly. Getting the primary category is probably the most important aspect of things. So for instance, if you're doing, say, real estate agent, right, versus realtor, or real estate agency, for instance, Those are two completely different types of queries and different types of intent that you're trying to match up. So you nail your primary category first. And then what you can go is you can do up to 8 more or 9 more, I think it is, subcategories. Okay. And those are going to be your secondary categories. They're kind of almost as powerful as your primary category, but not so much. Which is like with heating and air conditioning companies, for instance, they'll switch up their categories depending on the season, right? Might be a heating contractor or air conditioning contractor. How can you tell? Now, that's an interesting thing is how can you tell what's the best category to use? It might sound simple, but it's actually not. So what I like to recommend is, and I can show you this if you'd like, Dennis.
Yeah.
Is that there is a tool out there and it is called GMB Spy. I was about to say Spy Foo. I love that tool too. Anyway.
Like Roberts, yeah.
But yeah, GMB Spy, really easy. It's a Chrome extension. Okay. And what you do is you just visit any Google My Business listing. You click on the dude with the hat and it's going to give you what categories that listing is using. If you want to get a little bit more intense, and you're an SEO professional or you want to be an SEO professional, then you can use a tool from Plepper, and that's plepr.com. You download the extension as well. And then what you do is you have to go to Plepper and register for the API. It's free, by the way. You just have to register. What this tool will do now, it's beautiful, is because it will go ahead when you visit maps.google.com and you type in your query, it'll look at all 20 listings. And then it'll basically compile all of that and express it in a graph of percentages. And it'll break down everything from the reviews to the categories, etc. But the primary purpose of the tool is to show you the categories and the percentages of those being used. Why that's important. You might find that the guy who's like in number 1 or number 2 is using a category you never thought of.
Yeah.
And so it's very powerful. The next, there's 2, I guess, things. The one's kind of dampened as far as the signal goes, and the other's not. And that is it's going to be the web page that you link to. So the school of thought on this is that you want to link to a page which is going to be that's also ranking well organically. Again, the 2 algorithms are together. So basically, that's one way you can look at them being the one connection, you could say, right? Is that if you're linking to a very well-ranking page, it's going to assist your Google My Business as well. On that note, the content of your website actually will impact the queries that you also show up for. So there's a lot of semantic relevance that's going on between your GMB profile and your website. And you can see this in almost real time. Okay, give it a week. Anyway, but there's something called Google My Business queries. And you can see these in your insights, or what's now being called the performance report. And it'll show you the queries where your GMB listing is being found. Yeah. The beauty of these queries, by the way, is that they are actually built off of the raw log files in Google's data center. So this is actually what people are using to find you. PS bonus, you can use these queries also in AdWords and all sorts of other ways. But you can also look at the queries which are delivering less than 15 searches. Why is that important? Because obviously you're being found, so are other businesses. But more than likely, those are not prominent enough on your site, basically. And so therefore, you're just not getting a lion's share of that search. So anyway, that's queries. And this way you can use that. And then the last thing, and I promise we'll go on to the next question, Dennis, is that it's going to be your reviews. Now, when it comes to reviews, there's a couple of ins and outs here, and I'll just kind of I'll get to them pretty quickly. That is that based on studies that we've seen, is that reviews are going to only help you to a certain point. I hear it all the time. People say, well, I've got 100 more reviews than this guy. In some cases, this guy has 0 reviews. Why is he outranking me? No, but seriously. So people are like, I've got, hundreds more reviews than this guy, and this guy continues to outrank me. Well, again, that's that kind of, it's up to this type of kind of limit where it's actually going to help. And to understand that, you have to kind of frame it in how consumers behave, right? So consumer behavior is going to be, is that they're going to look at a majority. We're talking 86% of consumers are going to look at reviews that have been done in the last 2 weeks. Those are the most important reviews that you can have. So if you keep that in mind, then you can kind of see, well, okay, so what do we need to do? We need to have a consistent stream of reviews coming in and build our strategy based on that. So that is what's really going to help, and what's going to kind of propel the rankings is more of that consistency than the pure number. Now, the pure number is great, but it's also just like a social media following in that, it's good, but it's kind of more like a social proof than anything else. It's like you've got thousands of followers, Dennis, right? But you have a core group of followers that are your most important followers, meaning these are the ones that are really going to engage with you. They're going to really push your message out there. Well, it kind of works the same way with reviews. It's like, oh, wow, man. It's like, these guys have got a ton of followers. I'm sorry, a ton of reviews. Mm-hmm. But it's really the only past two weeks are the most important. And then there's also the other important ones, which are when somebody filters based on highest review and lowest review. Because when you do that, you're not getting the last 2 weeks. Now it's going to go ahead and do them in almost a shuffled order.
Right.
And so, but the reason why you want to go check those out is because those are the ones that you should really pay attention to how you're responding to.
Yeah.
Because 95% of users, when they're researching a business, they read your responses. I know you were asking about ranking, but I wanted to throw all of that stuff out there anyway.
So with the reviews, what's more powerful? Someone who has, say, 500 reviews, but only a few in the last 2 weeks, or maybe someone with 100 reviews, but say 10 in the last 2 weeks? How would you look at the relative weighting?
I would look at that as, and we're going to talk about this a lot, but I would look at that more in the consumer's eyes, right? So the fact is that I think that even if you have a lot of reviews, but you've only gotten a couple in the last 2 weeks, I'm not very impressed with your business. It can't really tell me much just by reading a few reviews. Now, if you've got 100 reviews and you've got a ton in the last 2 weeks, then I'm going to look at the quality of those reviews. So if the quality of those reviews is up there, and they're not just like 5-star, no content, but they're actually like 2, 3, 4, sentences or types of that speak about things, the true experience that I've had or somebody has had at your business. Yeah. That's what's really powerful. By the way, those words that people use in those reviews are extremely important. So you want to guide people on how to leave a review, and we can touch on that in a second. But let me explain why first. Okay. So the reason is that those keywords are absolutely being indexed. How they're being used. They're being used in something which is called a justification. A justification is when you're looking at a Google My Business profile, and underneath the profile, you'll see a little kind of usually a star or exclamation point or something. It's a little blue kind of bug badge thing, right? But then next to it says they have reviews that mention keyword.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Real estate or excellent or professional, etc. And it's going to be based on the keyword of the intent of the search. So additionally is that you'll notice that there's these little like chips underneath of a review profile, or a business profile near the reviews, above the reviews usually, where it'll say it like things again, like professional, real estate, etc. Right? Those are being picked up from the reviews being left. And also they have a number next to them. So the number might be 8+, 22+, things like that. And again, this is because it was just adding up the number of times people use these words. Well, the more people use these words, the more you're going to be found for these types of searches. So if I'm looking for a professional real estate agent in San Diego, right, then those keywords are more than likely going to also be in the reviews that have been left for the business. So
then you want to encourage your customers to use the keywords that you want to rank on.
Exactly. Right.
That's the outbound communication.
Exactly.
Part of the process.
And you can't just directly ask for that, of course, right? But
tell people why you can't ask for a review like that.
Well, because now you're directing them, okay? And it's not necessarily that it's against the guidelines, but it's going to interfere in portraying what the real experience was. And Google wants what the real experience is. So, if a user was asked to leave a review in a certain manner, usually it'll be an email that asks them to do this, or a text message or something else. It's usually not done verbally. Now they have evidence and they have proof. With that evidence and that proof, now they can go to Google and report it and say, this merchant asked me to specifically to do this. And usually if you're doing that, you're also doing an incentive. Incentives are, of course, against the guidelines.
How
But
do
tell
people
them,
tattle?
yeah, what's that?
How often do people tattle like that?
How often
Yeah.
or how do people tattle? I guess that's the
Oh,
question.
well, first, how often is that a real risk?
It's a real risk. How often? Don't. Do I see it in the forums, in the community, the Google My Business community? All the time, So I'll say this person, asked me to leave this review, for instance, and again, was going to give me $5, or free weed, whatever the case. I've seen that before, actually. That's why I brought that one up. It's funny. Anyway, but yeah, no, I've done where, okay, there's one scenario where somebody came in, and actually I'll go to the weed delivery. Why not? It was a cannabis shop, right? And dispensary. And they had a sign that they put right on their counter that says, "We will give you a free bud for a 5-star review."
Oh man.
And so the user, which was a competitor, took a picture of this, took a picture of the building, took a picture, did a video, showed it was there, it was real, and came to the forum and basically said, "Here it is. Here's a video. Here's a picture. Here's a link. These guys have been asking for reviews ever since they opened up, which was last year in September, and which you could easily go figure out and find, right?" So sent that over to Google. Google wiped out 500 reviews overnight.
Wow.
And tracked the ranking, and their ranking went from here. So it happens.
GMB horror story that we've got to isolate as a 1-minute video so everyone can understand the risk of incentivized reviews.
Fantastic. Excellent. So yeah, it does happen. Now, let's talk about, though, how to ask for a review and get those keywords and do it the right way. Okay. Yeah. And you'll probably want to make a tip about this one too. All right. So, so basically what you want to do is you can do this by email. You can do it via text. It's going to be better by email. Or if you're really, really good, like in real estate, I would highly suggest you do this. All right. So here's the magic tip. Number one, let's say you're a real estate agent. You just closed on a home. You're walking your client through the home. Congratulations. Here's your keys, right? You've got a happy customer right in front of you.
Yeah.
Super duper happy. At least I hope so. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to say, "Let's do this. Hey, would you mind," like son or daughter or whoever else is there, "would you mind taking a picture of us in front of this beautiful home?" Great. By the way, before we do this, because you're going to take this picture, would you mind leaving us a review on Google? And they're going to be like, "Well, of course." Great. Because what we can do is we can attach this picture to the review and show off your beautiful new home.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you say, "Excellent." So you take the picture, they're about to write the review, and you say, "Okay, cool. With this review, and here's the key components to it. This review is not from me. This review is to help everybody else that's going to talk to me in the future. So when you're writing the review, if you wouldn't mind keeping that keep that in mind." So immediately that's like, "Oh, wow, I get to help somebody else. Awesome. I like that." So it's just psychologically, you're getting them prepped, right? And then the secondary part of that is would you mind mentioning where we're at, like the city, right? Would you mind mentioning my name or my business? And would you mind talking a little bit about the process and what we did here? Okay. Now that, of course, can be expanded on if you want to get really drill into it. But you want to bring it out that much, so that way you're giving them the creativity.
Right.
And so then they'll just go ahead, they'll write the review. And sometimes they might even say, "Hey, would you mind reading this really quick?"
Yeah.
But then they'll post it. Now, beauty is that you've just gotten them to do a bunch of stuff. You've just gotten them to say, "I'm working with XYZ real estate agent in San Diego, where I bought a new home in XYZ area," right? It's perfect. It's beautiful. There's homes, I've got schools here, grocery stores, yada, 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 mall, whatever. So they've just done all of the work for you. And all you had to do was coach them just a little bit.
That should be a 1-minute video or an infographic on how to get the ideal review from your customer on GMB. Can you just reuse the same thing on Yelp?
Can you reuse the same review
or
on Yelp?
Zillow or other review sites, Facebook? You can leave reviews.
Technically, the answer is no. However, in practice, yes. So why I say no is because the review that's on Google should be unique to Google, right? That's number one. They used to be a little bit more, they used to police a lot more. but they don't really anymore. So we see people copying from, say, Yelp over to Google. But realistically, it's better to have it as unique as possible, I think, personally. So it's important to know.
What about pre-writing their review for them? Because a lot of them will say, well, why don't you just go ahead and write it for me?
Again, you just don't you don't want to get caught. No, I don't think I've ever seen a case where somebody's gotten in trouble for a pre-written review. But again, I mean, it's better if it's coming in their words, their language, you know what I mean? Because if you think about it this way, so Dennis, I am going to go ahead and I'd like to leave a review, for your company, right? Would you mind writing it for me? And then, okay, so you write it for me and I go ahead and I post it, right? And your next customer, they come to you same day and they say, hey, Dennis, love your company, man. You helped me out so much. Would you mind writing a review so I can leave it for you?
Yeah.
So on and so forth, right? The problem is that we as human beings, we have a very specific way that we write things, right? So we're not going to be extremely creative. And the fact is, it's pretty much set in stone, our style. So you're going to keep on writing the same thing basically over and over and over again. It's going to sound the same. It's going to read the same, right? So now I'm a competitor. Okay. And I go ahead and I start reading your reviews and I'm just like, well, this is Dennis.
They sound the same.
And this one's using that same word. This one's using that same word. This one's phrased exactly the same as this one. Wait a minute. These actually could be fake review profiles. Okay. Or maybe Dennis is out buying reviews. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and report this to Google because he didn't earn these reviews.
Yeah.
So we know that like that, of course, Dennis, but the fact is that when we are hunting down and trying to get reviews removed from Google My Business profiles, which we do, right? Then what we do is we look for those patterns very, very specifically.
Yeah.
And if we can find those patterns, we can get reviews removed.
Wow. So you can do that to your competitor, and if you're in a really contested spot.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. The nasty things that competitors do to each other.
Talk about, Ben, why we shouldn't buy fake reviews.
Why you should buy reviews kind of goes along the lines of the same reason why you review gating. Okay. Because the penalty is basically the same. I'll talk about review gating first, and then I'll go into buying reviews. So with review gating, what you're doing is you're basically, say, putting a piece of code on your website, or you're sending somebody a text message with a request for a review. If you put in a review rating of, say, 1 to 3 stars, what it'll end up doing is it'll end up directing you over to a form that you can fill out. This goes directly to the merchant, does not pass go, and does not leave a review on Google, Facebook, Yelp, or anything else. So if you put in something that's 4 or 5, well, of course, we're going to send you right over to Google to leave us a review. Thank you very much. There's actually business reasons for doing this, by the way, which is that I want to see every bad review and I want to reach out to somebody. Google doesn't care. Google says if you're review gating, you're basically going ahead and you're manipulating your review score. So why I wanted to tell you this story is there was a very decently known review gating piece of software out there. And while they're not doing review gating as much anymore, they do give the option to the user, the merchant, to be able to continue to review gate, although it's disabled. So what's a merchant going to do, right? A merchant's going to do what they don't know it's going to hurt them. So they just do it. Anyway, this one business amassed over 6,000 reviews in a 6-year period. Okay.
Yeah.
Great ranking too. Awesome ranking. They were reported by a competitor who went in and looked at their website, looked through the code, found the software company. Then they went out to archive.org, Wayback Machine, and they looked at when it was installed and when it was removed. Okay. And then they took that and they reported it on the community, and we escalated it up to Google. 2 weeks later, Google removed all 6,000 reviews.
Wow. Even though a lot of them were legitimate.
Even though they were legit, it didn't matter. They were breaking the rules. So now let's talk about buying reviews, fake reviews.
Wait. Just on review gating though, help us understand why does Google see that as manipulation? Because we see a lot of software that does that. Anything 1 to 3, they try to handle it before it goes public. Yeah. That seems like a smart thing to do if you're a small business owner.
Well, that's what I was saying, right? It seems like a very intelligent thing to do because you can learn from negative reviews. Yeah. But what it does is it totally corrupts what Google wants, which is the customer experience,
Right.
good or bad. It doesn't matter. And you as a consumer should want to see the good and the bad too, right? Yeah, as a business, you're like, well, I don't want to have anything bad out there. People aren't going to do business with me. Well, yeah, if they think you're an axe murderer, the fact that you're going to, put something in their food, of course they don't want to do business with you. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
most businesses aren't that way. So we're all human beings. We make mistakes. Things happen. And Google basically wants to show both sides of the equation.
So if you wanted to, you could look at all the competitors in your area. You're a real estate agent in San Diego or whatever, and find out who's using any of this. Let's say there's a list of software that does this, and report all those guys and get them knocked out, and move yourself up in the rankings.
It can happen. It
How would you
happens.
know? How would you know if somebody is trying to nail you because of competitive SEO or because of something like this that you might have done accidentally? Not
Good
just
question.
retweeting, but any of the other things that you might accidentally do.
Yeah, good question. There's really no way to tell. However, with a little bit of logic, you can probably figure it out. So let's just say let's just say there's only 4, right? The top 3 and maybe you. And and then all of a sudden, those top 3 lose all their reviews, except you don't. Your competitors are probably going to have a pretty decent idea and think about it, and they're like, you probably did this. So in other words, there's no way for them to know necessarily. Now, this kind of goes to a little bit more of a different type of technique and applies to anything Google My Business related or Google related technically. But I get asked a lot, like, well, how can I tell who did this to me?
Right.
Okay. And in that case, that can actually be found out. So for instance, if you've been suspended, or if you've had multiple malicious edits to your profile, say somebody keeps on changing your hours or your category, right? And it's not you and it's not software. There's a very, very specific technique. And Paul, as dentist, you're going to probably want to do either an infographic about this or talk to a lawyer and get them to endorse this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you how this works, if this 100% works or not, but I've seen it in action and it does actually work. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the meat of it. So let's just say, again, you've had all of your reviews completely wiped out, right? Or again, being suspended often, or you're getting a lot of malicious types of edits done. And this is the most common, by the way, malicious edits. What you do is you open up a lawsuit, okay? And you do it with a John and Jane Doe. You don't know who it is. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out who did this.
Okay.
Okay. So the John or Jane Doe, that's basically what that means. We don't know who it is. Then what you do is you file a subpoena against Google. Okay. And I believe it's just legal at google.com.
Okay.
And with that, what you are trying to do is you're trying to subpoena the identity of somebody who has left, say, suggested edits or fake reviews or etc. on these dates, on this business profile. And you be very specific about it, show screenshots, etc. You do that, and Google's going to have 30 days to reply to you. In that 30 days, they look at the identity of whoever the offender is. They send out communication to them saying, there's a lawsuit. You are being named in this lawsuit. Did you do this? We have this evidence. And, you can plead your case basically, like, why did you do this in a sense?
Yeah.
If you don't reply, which most people don't because they're afraid of being sued by Google, basically at this point, then Google will go ahead and release whatever PII or personal identifiable information to whoever has done the subpoena. And that's it. That's the process. And now you get their IP address. If Google has their name, you get their name, and you've just now found out who has done something to you. And now you can actually go ahead and you can take it through to a legal action if you want to.
Wow. So what's it cost to get to that point before you take legal action?
This is why I said you want to talk to a lawyer.
If you're a big brand and it's worth it, right? Yeah. Not if you're just a local chiropractor.
I haven't done it before, but I mean, I've definitely advised clients on this before. And I believe one of them was a personal injury lawyer that was getting attacked with negative reviews. And they think it was like $6,000 to do the investigation, basically.
Yeah.
And which sounds about right. I guess, I don't know. Again, not a lawyer, but if somebody's really damaged your business, like for instance, in the case of a suspension, If somebody's taken you offline and continues to take you offline, they say every month, well, you know how much of revenue you earn on a daily basis. Okay. So take that, multiply it times, say 4 or 5, sometimes 14, 2 weeks offline. That's how much it actually costs you. And that's how much you should recover if you can.
Yeah. Hey, let's finish the question on why you shouldn't buy fake reviews, and then let's talk about suspensions.
Okay. So why shouldn't you buy fake reviews? Okay. With fake reviews, the first thing is that if you get caught, again, you will face the same thing as we were talking about with review gating.
Yeah.
If you get caught, you will have your reviews removed. Okay. Now, when somebody goes out and they buy fake reviews, let's say they go to Upwork or Fiverr or Craigslist or some stupid Facebook group. Not saying Facebook is stupid, but the groups themselves are. Anyway, no, but seriously, there's review swaps and buying all over the place. The problem is that, and I have to kind of watch out how I say this, but people who are selling these reviews are not the most intelligent people in the entire world. And like any good thief, they will leave tracks, lots of tracks. Example, Singapore is a hub for fake reviews. So is Japan and China. Okay. They can get a bunch of cheap phones, put them on banks, boom, and you've got operators that are doing nothing but sitting there leaving reviews all day long. Even if they're using a spoofed SIM, which most aren't, Google can still see the origination basically of that cell phone, mainly through IPs and things like that, et cetera, right? Why is that
important? With VPNs and coming in with other IP addresses, simulating that you're in LA?
Even with an onion router.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Google's got its tentacles in everywhere. So yes, they can detect these things. And again, usually these people are not very intelligent about it. And they'll sit there and leave a review, say for one real estate agent, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. And they're all in San Diego, and they're all on the same day. It's like, okay, well, cool. You just bought 10 homes. Good for you. Obviously fake, right? Or we see reviews that are left with crappy names like Lenny Kravitz, seen that one, or Obama, so there's just not a lot of creativity that goes into it because they're going really fast.
Yeah. Okay. Or these users have only 2 or 3 other reviews. They're all in the same area and they're all 5 stars. You can tell it's paid.
And then they leave one star review for somebody else because they're paid to leave a negative review as well.
Yeah.
So that happens too. Or they're building fake listings and all sorts of different little things that you can do.
So what happens if you buy fake reviews?
So what ends up happening is that some may stick. That is very true. Okay. However, when you start buying fake reviews, your competitors are going to notice almost immediately because they are watching you like a hawk. And then they're going to be like, well, this is not fair. How could this guy go ahead and get 30 reviews in one day when normally he only gets 1 review a week? Again, it doesn't look right. So what's it going to do? It's going to report you. What Google's going to do is Google's going to take a look at it and see if there's any kind of identifiable pattern in the reviews, which they're going to usually find, or somebody is going to point it out like, hey, Google, this is exactly what the pattern is. And Google will go ahead and remove at least the fake reviews. Sometimes, and this is the bad, horrible part, or actually not horrible, it's just what it is. I think it's great, is what they'll also do is now they're going to look at your entire review history. And they're going to say, well, you know what? These reviews are kind of fishy too because of our spam signals. So we're going to kill those too. We're not going to investigate deeply. We're just going to kill them. There's the problem is that, and this is a general rule of thumb, is anytime you reach out to Google support or somebody reaches out to Google support on your behalf, in this case, you always have a chance of losing your listing or losing your reviews. Always. Doesn't matter what it is. So let's say you went out, Dennis, and you bought 100 fake reviews, right? All of a sudden, one day, somebody comes along and your listing gets suspended, right? Out of the blue. You were using a Regis space, maybe, right? Right. So you reach out to get reinstated and you get reinstated, right? You end up moving, whatever, getting out of the Regis, proving that you're there. But when you come back, you're like, 50 reviews are gone. How'd that happen? Contact Google. Well, you reinstated. Thank you for reinstating my listing, but I'm missing 50 reviews. Well, we deemed those to be spammy in nature, so they were removed, but they might have been real. So anyway, that's the big thing is that when you are buying fake reviews, you're immediately going to be suspect for other types of activities that are against their guidelines. And I'll just go ahead and I'll give you a quick story. Okay. So we had a client come to us. This actually happened like 3 weeks ago. We had a client come to us and they said, all right, well, we've got 2 negative reviews that are not from our clients. Everybody always says that, by the way. Anyway, there are 2 reviews not from our clients, and we'd like to get those removed. By the way, the business did go ahead and we're purchasing some positive reviews. We'd like those removed too. Okay. So they were owning up to it actually at this point. So we reached out, we talked to support about it. They said, well, we don't see any spam signals with the 2 reviews that you're reporting and you're saying are fake. We've gone ahead and removed the 7 reviews, which you said you purchased. However, during this investigation, we found 50 more reviews that met our spam signals, and we've removed those 2. So again, this is the peril of when you go and you do the easy way out, you're always going to be in peril.
Yeah. What if a competitor buys a bunch of 1-star reviews for you?
All right. So that's a 1-star attack. Okay. 1-star attacks usually all occur within the same 24-hour period because that's how they're purchased, right?
Yeah.
So with that, again, there's a pattern. And there's going to usually be a pattern at the profile level or a pattern in the attack itself. So you can take a look at somebody's profile and just like see it, like they're leaving reviews from in Japan and San Diego and Florida and Texas and Canada, blah, 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 right? Okay, well, that doesn't look right. That user probably didn't go to all of those places.
Right.
So that's probably a spam profile. They probably remove them.
But what do you
however,
just reach out to support? What if I'm a small business owner and I see someone's done that to me? What do I do? I'm not a GMB, platinum expert like you are.
Yeah, what you need to do is you immediately need to go to the Google My Business community. Okay, because if you reach out to support, they're probably not going to be able to help you very much. You need to go to the community because you need somebody like me to escalate it to Google and bring it to their attention and say, hey, this business is currently under attack by a competitor. Because if we don't stop it, it's going to continue. Basically, they don't usually just buy them in batches of 10. They buy them and they make a sustained attack because they're trying to drive your rating down to 0. Right. And there's a good reason too, by the way. It's because actually this is horrible for real estate agents, is that the review rating on Google My Business will impact your ranking on local service ads as well.
Ooh, talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I see this all the time, unfortunately, is that if you can drag down the rating of a Google My Business profile, it'll kill the ranking of your local service ads. You'll go from being number 1 down to number 50. Boom, overnight. Yeah.
That's a double whammy.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. It's really bad. So, but what do you do? Okay. So yes, you come to the community, you basically literally put in your title of your thread. My business is being attacked by 1-star reviews, because we as product experts, we've got filters set up for this stuff and we're looking for it constantly. Yeah. So we look for words like attack. We look for words like reviews, plural actually. And as soon as we see them, then we go ahead and we raise those to Google immediately. Of course, we have to take a look first. But just give us examples, give us links to these negative reviews. You can't get a link for a 1-star, no content. You actually have to grab the entire URL at the top of the browser for it. And you can shorten it if you want to, but come with those. So that way we can see it. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and report it to Google. Google will then take at least 1 of 2 different types of actions. The first action is they'll just start removing the reviews, period. If they continue, come back and tell us.
Right.
Or what they'll do is they'll do something which is called a spam lockdown. And a spam lockdown, basically what that infers is that you're just not going to be able to get any new reviews at all until the attacks stop. And then they wait a period of time after that. So, and then after things settle down, which can take anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, then you can start getting reviews again. So unfortunately, your competitor has done damage to you because while your review rating is not going down, and now it's gone back up to where it was, is now you can't get any new reviews. So remember, we talked about those 2 weeks that are really important. Well, now you're not showing reviews for the past 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. How long does the lockdown normally last?
3 to 6 months.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I do not encourage anybody to do this against your competitors, because you know what? If my reviews got locked down, I would absolutely be seeking to sue somebody.
Yeah.
So you could get sued. So I highly recommend not doing that. Yeah, so that's it. That's basically it. Yeah.
Now let's talk about what are the things that can get your GMB suspended, and then what do you do if your GMB is suspended? So two parts.
All right. So just a little bit of background here so everybody knows. In my time of working with Google My Business, which has now been probably north of 7-8 years, something like that. And just, let's go with the last year. In the last 12 months, I've reinstated probably over 2,000 Google My Business listings. So a little bit of experience with this.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You don't realize until it happens to you. So it's good to understand what causes you.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what causes you to get suspended.
And you don't feel the pain until it happens to you. People don't even think about getting suspended until it happens. And when it happens, you are probably going to be in the most helpless space that you've ever been in, because there's nothing that you can do. The only thing that you can do is look for a reinstatement. I'm going to answer your question in a second. Is you can seek reinstatement or seek professional assistance, because Google will also tell you sometimes, sorry, you're just not in compliance. They don't give you a heads up. They don't give you a reason. They just say, sorry, we're not reinstating you. And then you got to scratch your head and figure it out.
So it happens a lot. So what are the things that can cause it?
Okay. So let's talk about the things that cause a Google My Business suspension. So the first thing is that you have intentionally done something wrong. And those things can be very simply, you are, let's say the name of your business is not actually the name of your business. So you have put down Dennis Yu, the best real estate agent in San Diego, who will find you the best house in the world, whatever, right? And that's your business name.
Okay.
Well, sorry, it's Dennis Yu, real estate agent. That's actually Dennis Yu, real estate. That's actually your business name. So in that case, you're just putting in keywords into your business name just because you want to rank for those keywords. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. So it looks like a great idea.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Or your SEO. God, I had this happen last week. Oh my God. Every time I hear about it, I cringe. I was on the phone with a client and they're like, yeah, my SEO guy said that I should put keywords in my business name and it'll rank me. I said, okay. I said, well, great. You just got suspended. So hope it was worth it. So anyway, adding keywords to your business name can be reported. Okay. And usually when you add keywords to your business name, somebody is going to, like an SEO or somebody is going to go ahead and suggest an edit and remove those keywords. And you're going to go ahead and add them back, right? And they're going to remove them again, and they're going to add them back. Well, every time you do that, you're kind of like literally rolling dice, because especially with real estate, which is considered a duress category, meaning highly abused, it's people are going to go ahead and again keep on reporting you change it back. The percentage chance is pretty high. It's about a 60 to 70% chance that you're going to get a suspension by changing your name back and forth. It's considered suspicious activity, and then Google will just suspend you for the suspicious activity. The secondary form of that is somebody just goes ahead and they suggest an edit, you change it back, and then they use what's called the redressal form. They submit the redressal form that goes directly to the spam ops team over at Google My Business. And then they go ahead and say, you know what, we can see the history on this. The user keeps changing their name back, even though it's suggested otherwise. It is misleading. It is actually fraudulent in nature. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and suspend your listing. Sometimes in that case, they'll just go ahead and suspend every listing that you have in your account, because usually there's going to be location spam, which leads us to the next thing, location spam. So location spam comes in multiple formats. The most common that's going to be for a realtor is going to be that they are listing their home address publicly on Google My Business. They haven't hidden the address. If you don't know, you just go to the info tab and then you click on your address and you hit clear address and it removes it completely. A lot of people don't do this, again, because their SEO person told them, or they think that I'm not going to rank well if I don't show my address. So I need to show my address. Well, this is a violation of Google's guidelines because it's usually a home and you don't have signage. So there is no way for a user to actually find your business except for coming to your address. Right. And then you get yourself listed as 24 hours. Okay. So that means that somebody's going to be able to come at 2 a.m. and knock on your door and get real estate services. Probably not going to happen. The kids are probably get terrified. So Google wants to make sure that the experience is good for the merchant as well as consumers. And obviously that does not make for a good experience. The next thing with location spam is somebody who's using a fake or virtual address. What that means is like if you're, say, getting an address at a UPS store, okay, which is not allowed, PO box, even though they give you an address. Again, it's not something somebody can just come to and do business with you. They'll end up at the UPS store, I doubt the guy at the counter is going to be able to help them with a house. So there's that. Then there's using virtual addresses, which another type of virtual address is going to be something like a Regis or a Da Vinci or even a WeWork.
Yeah.
And with those, usually what you're dealing with is where they have a office space that literally there's nobody there. There's just a bunch of desks, right? And they sell it to 100 other companies. And 100 is probably lowball, by the way.
Yeah.
So there's 100 people at this address and you are one of those, but nobody's actually there. So it's just, you can use the conference room, right? Yeah. And they'll pick up your mail and they'll forward it to you. Also, very easy to figure out. The address is going to match. So when somebody like me is hunting down spam or fake companies, basically to help companies rank, so first thing we do is we look at the address. Oh, bam, Regis match. Boom, call them up. Hey, just out of curiosity, does XYZ actually have an office there? Oh, no? Thank you. Boom, done. You're gone. I'll wipe you out in literally 24 hours if I can do that.
Yeah.
So
agencies, though, a lot of agencies work from home. What should they do?
Agencies that work from home should definitely clear their address straight up. It's a very simple task. Just clear your address. So that's what I do. Okay. So there's that. And so that can lead to a suspension very easily. Okay. And by the way, if you do both of those things at the same time and you have multiple listings in your account, your entire account can get wiped. So I call it going dark. And that basically means that every listing that you have goes dark, gets suspended at the same time. And if you've ever had one of these, it's one of the scariest experiences in the world, because you literally will open up your email and you'll see 50, 60, 70, 100 emails from Google all at the same time saying your listing has been suspended. And if you're an agency, which this happens to very regularly, then what ends up happening is now all of your clients, so you're getting all these emails and now you're getting all these phone calls because all your clients are saying, what did you do?
So one client getting suspended could cause a cascade to trigger all the clients for the agency's account.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is scary.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to go into the next one. It's even scarier. So let's say you are an SEO company and you're doing suggested edits on profiles that have name stuffing, and you keep on doing that. And you don't do your research. You just go ahead and willy-nilly make the suggestions. So you're not going to their website. You're not checking Secretary of State, things like this, right? And so there's a quality review and a quality score that goes behind every single edit that you make on Google Maps or Google My Business. And that builds up a trust level, right? It's kind of connected to your local guide score, but not really. Anyway, so let's just say you keep on doing this and you keep on making bad edits. Well, the only way that you know it's possibly a bad edit is that they reject your edit, but sometimes they go through anyway. Anyway, regardless of that, all of a sudden your local guide account either might get suspended or it might not, but this trust level has gone to a certain point where they don't trust your account anymore. So when your account's no longer trusted, one of the first things GMB does is suspend every listing you have.
Oh, wow.
But you don't know that suggested edit is actually what caused this. All you know is you have an account level suspension. Same thing goes for pay-per-click agencies. Pay-per-click agencies will usually use the same email address they're using for managing pay-per-click in their MCC as they use on their GMB account. It's a very common practice because it makes sense, right? Yeah. All your Google stuff in one place.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Pay-per-click accounts get banned all the time and suspended all the time, right? Well, you could be working with a pay-per-click agency that maybe is white labeling another pay-per-click agency. Their account gets suspended. The agency that's white labeling doesn't, but it cascades into your Google My Business.
So what do you do?
You're screwed. You actually have that.
Do you not use it? You just have to use different email addresses?
Well, if you want to protect yourself, then you don't do suggested edits with the same account that you use for Google My Business. And you don't use, you just be really careful who you use for pay-per-click. That one's really difficult to insulate yourself from. Yeah. Except for the fact that most pay-per-click agencies don't need access to your Google My Business listing. So there's that too. They can
Well, what if they're
usually
running local service ads?
local service ads is completely different. It usually uses a different account. So we're talking about pay-per-click agencies, not pay-per-lead. Local service ads, pay-per-lead, but pay-per-click using AdWords. We'll usually ask for access because they need to connect the local extension, basically, call tracking extensions. But once they've done it, you can usually just remove them from your Google My Business account. So yeah, be wary of that. Let's see. Sometimes your Google My Business listing can get suspended for no reason whatsoever.
All right, hang on a second. I'm going to plug in the power here.
Okay.
Low on power. I don't want to lose this good stuff we got going on.
I mean, this actually is going to make a really good ebook, Dennis.
This is really good. Yeah, you are right on. This is going to be easy for us to edit. Okay.
All right. Sweet. All right. So yeah. So the next thing is basically what we call a Google sweep. Okay. And a Google sweep is where GMB is going out, their spam ops team, and they're going to usually a very specific geographic area, let's just say San Diego, and they're going after a specific category, real estate. Okay. And they are basically running an algorithm that states, here's our new spam signals. Here's our existing spam signals. Now let's do a test. Okay. Now, when Google does this, they use something, and I don't know if they use this all over Google itself, but for GMB, I know they do. They use something which is called a Mendel test. And if you go Google Mendel test, it'll tell you exactly what it is. But the nuts and bolts of it is it states that when we're doing an experiment, we expect exactly X amount of false positives. Okay. If we get that amount of false positives, then we know that the algorithm actually worked. So they're expecting casualties, I guess is the point. And so when they run it, sometimes they turn the dial up a little bit too high and we get mass amounts of suspensions in a certain category in a certain area. And that's basically what you're looking for when we see a Google sweep, is we see a massive number of listings getting suspended. But the reason I bring this up is that even if you think you're within the guidelines, you probably aren't, and you'll get caught up in one of those sweeps. And I see it happen all the time. As a matter of fact, I've got a statistic on it, and that is that 30% of businesses will be suspended, whether they're in the guidelines or not, in any given year. And yeah, so what's worse, 4% of businesses that are suspended are prepared and ready to be reinstated. Why is that number really important? That's 4 out of 100 businesses. Okay. And the reason that's important is that when you are in compliance with Google My Business and you submit for a reinstatement, if you are in compliance, you'll be reinstated in 24 hours. Guaranteed. I do it every single day for our clients. Okay. If you're not in compliance, you'll submit a reinstatement. And I know you haven't asked this question, but we're going into how you get reinstated now. All right. So basically, if you are not in compliance, then you will still get a response in 24 hours. It won't be the response you wanted. It'll be that dreaded, you're not in compliance, go read the guidelines. In which everybody says, well, I read the guidelines, I'm in compliance. Nobody reads the guidelines. I don't care. And even the ones that do don't understand it. So that what should have only been 1 day down, I have to add another component to this, actually. It's 1 day down, then it takes an additional 72 hours, so 4 days total, to gain your ranking back, okay? Because when you submit reinstatement, the 24-hour period is basically the morning, usually around 6 a.m. So you're looking at 4 days of no exposure and lost visibility at the minimum, okay? So, but if you're not in compliance, take those 4 days, expand it out. It could take you weeks to figure it out. And then let's say you're trying it yourself for weeks, it's not working. And then you try to hire somebody, you hire the wrong person. You hire somebody for $50 off of Fiverr or $50 off of Facebook. I see it all the time. Yeah. I worked with X. I gave them money, $50. It didn't work. They couldn't get me reinstated. Duh, you get what you pay for. So anyway, so now here we are, it's a month you've been off of Google, right? And then finally you maybe find somebody who might know what they're doing, okay? And now you got to wait through the entire process on that because you can't do a double submission. If you do a double submission, that puts you back further. So anyway, it's pretty serious when you're not in compliance. If you can imagine it, Just imagine your best real estate customer, luxury agent, right? How much revenue would he be losing if he didn't have the GMB profile for 1 month?
A lot.
A lot. Yes. We're probably talking on the order of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Plus also the fact is now clients can't find you and they can't read your reviews. Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to it. Sorry, I need to circle backwards. So let's see, what have we gone over? We've gone over keywords, we've gone over location, we've gone over sweep, and we've gone over account level. Yeah, those are pretty much it. Yeah. So anyway, those are the big violations. I guess the last thing I could say is that if somebody goes ahead and if you are in a duress category like real estate, then making an edit to your name, your business phone numbers, your hours, your category, your website URL, your description, pretty much almost everything on the info tab, you can be suspended.
Now talk to people, if they just got suspended, how do they reach you and how does the program work?
How they reach me and how does the program work? They just hit me up. They just can either find me on Twitter, the social dude, or steadydemand.com, send us an email, hit our contact form. And then our process is actually really honed in and pretty simple. We've made it as simple as possible. The first thing we do is we have a quick phone call because we need to triage the problem. And this is before we even bring somebody on as a client. We triage them to figure out, number one, to get a basic concept of what might be causing the suspension. That's first. Then what we do is we triage to find out, are they a spammer? So are they using fake listings, for instance? And then we also we go ahead and we find out how willing are they to make changes that are going to be potentially necessary to get reinstated, because those things are all important to us, and they're also kind of important to Google too. So the reason why we say we have a 98% success rate is because every once in a while we get somebody who just doesn't want to do what's required to get reinstated. Like for instance, I'm putting my deck together for PubCon on this right now. I've had quite a few clients like this, where I say, okay, well, I need signage, otherwise we need to hide your address. They will literally go and take a piece of paper and put their business name on it and put it up on the door.
Yeah.
And put it, and then put it in plastic too. But there's like, okay, well, there's my signage. That's not permanent signage. I've had people who have Sharpied a business name onto the door saying it's signage. Or throwing up a tarp. I've seen that too. Anyway, sorry, I can't help those kind of businesses. I just can't help you. So anyway, somebody comes to us, we do a triage basically, then we go over costs, and then realistically, it's like we have our first meeting and we say, okay, well, here's what we need to get done basically to get you back on. And we get that information back. Again, that most people don't have the information. So it's like they have to go out and get a sign done, get it installed, have to negotiate, with the landlord. I see that all the time. Or they have to move. And they have to move from one location to another. Problem is, when you move from one location to another, you got to redo all of your legal paperwork now. And that takes time. Okay. Anyway, cutting to the short. Basically, so once we've gotten what we need, we submit that over to Google. Sometimes Google will say, yep, you're good. Boom, you're done. Okay, you're back online. Sometimes they'll deny it and say, no, we're not going to put you back online. That means there's still an issue, or there's still kind of some kind of issue or problem that's going on in the background we're not aware of. And that's when we usually have that phone call. And that phone call is okay, so what did you not tell us? And a great example I have of that was actually the first case that I worked on. It was a company in Sacramento, and they were 40 years old. They have a huge warehouse. They do lifts. They build basically lifts. And so anyway, you can see them. They're on Street View. You can go to Google Maps and find them. They're a real business. And banging my head against the wall, trying to, like, everything looks perfect. What is wrong here? And then finally I said, well, wait a minute. I said, how come you have this review gathering software as a manager on your listing? It was Bird Eye. Okay. And I was like, well, how come they're there? I was like, well, what do they need to be on the listing for? They're like, well, they needed access. I said, okay, that doesn't make any sense. And I guess they did want the access so they could sync their reviews to their aggregation page. I don't think they do this anymore. I'm not sure. But anyway, regardless, I said, okay. But at first they said, well, it's just me and my general manager. I said, oh, let's go take a look. And we saw that. And that's when I asked them. And lo and behold, we removed that user, went back to Google and said, we've taken additional steps. Could you please reevaluate this? Next day, they were back online.
And that was it?
That was it. That was the problem. So that's why I say it's like most people just really don't understand if they're out of the guidelines or not. So yeah, so basically, I mean, but luckily, and also being a product expert, we also have ways of talking directly to Google sometimes if we need to as well, but don't really abuse that. So it's more through just trying to figure out and troubleshoot. It's basically troubleshooting. That's what it is, right? And then we also have we built a program actually just for people who get suspended, and it's called My Business Assurance. Think of it like insurance for your Google My Business listing. It's something that's inexpensive to have. However, it's really expensive if you don't have it, right? Remember those 3-4 days we're talking about, or month timelines. So what we do with this program is that we bring in an existing business that's not suspended, and we go ahead and we audit the Google My Business profile for the guidelines. And we also audit the business too, because there's a lot of different business things that you need to make sure you have right. Example, I've seen somebody who on their Secretary of State listing, their zip code was off by 1 digit. Google wouldn't reinstate them until it was fixed. Go figure. You'd be surprised how often I see this, by the way. So,
Ben, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
You already started answering the question before I asked it, but who should buy this insurance program, and what is it for? And who's it for? Yeah.
Well, it's basically for any business, any merchant who has a Google My Business profile and specifically is in really a duress category. So like the real estate agents, for instance, because again, it's like, it could happen at any time. It could happen once per year. We find that there's a 36% chance in any 12-month period that a business in a duress category will be suspended.
What are the other duress categories?
Oh God, man, there's so many of them. Locksmiths, lawyers. What was the other category? Sorry, that you said you work with, Dennis. We'll want to cut this part.
5 different kinds of doctors. Med spas, chiropractors, dentists.
Okay. Med spas. Okay. So med spas, doctors, dentists, they do get suspended, but they usually get suspended because they're doing things like location spam or name spam. They're not considered a duress category, however. But they also have a lot of problems that can cause suspensions, like duplicates, for instance. So, you have doctors that move from one location to another location, or they're at multiple locations, which they can technically have multiple profiles, but they usually won't adapt their hours properly, so they'll get suspended, So anyway, they get suspended as well. But yeah, so garage door companies are a duress category as well. So anyway, where I was going with this is the reason why is because not only do we guard against the suspension itself, we make sure you're in compliance. So if you are suspended, we can get you back in 24 hours. But then also what we do is on top of that, we back up every aspect of Google My Business. And the reason for that is that when you're reinstated, there is a 10% chance, it's very small, but it's 10%, that Google will lose your reviews, or they will not reinstate photos that users had, or it'll just come back as a brand spanking new listing. That happens too, which means now you're not going to rank for at least 6 months. So we back up all of this data, and especially the reviews. And so that way, if there's something that catastrophic occurs, that we have ammo. We've got something that can basically build it back up again. Or we can go to Google and say, hey, these reviews are supposed to be there. Here's the proof. So
if Google loses your reviews and you've stored them, can they just take your backup, or is that just proof to have them go back and find them?
It's proof. It's just proof. Yeah, we have to have the proof. Luckily, it works. That's the beautiful thing. So
that's the assurance program.
Yeah, that's the assurance program.
How about the spam and the identity programs? Can you talk to our audience about those?
Yeah. So let's talk about the easiest win when it comes to local SEO. The easiest win is looking at your competitors. They're outranking you. Okay. If they are violating the guidelines, they can be reported for Google to remove them or correct the violation. So let's say it's a real estate agent that's at his home and he's putting keywords in his business name. Well, you should probably report him, because Google will reach out to them and say, take the keywords out, or we've actually taken them out for you. Don't do it again. And they'll say, also, you need to hide your address. Well, you just did a double whammy on that guy, because now he doesn't have the keywords for ranking, and he's got to remove his address. He's not going to be in the top 3 anymore. So yeah, we only charge like $25 a listing, by the way, to do this work. So it's super duper cheap.
You have an affiliate for people like me to promote?
We could probably talk about that. We should.
For
Yeah.
agencies that want to do that for their clients.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Actually, most agencies, I don't know if you're putting this I probably wouldn't put out there. Most agencies mark us up, usually at the minimum 100%, because it's so low of a price.
Yeah.
You know,
$25 one time per listing?
$25 one time.
Oh, that's cheap.
It's really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most companies will pay anywhere upwards of $100 to $400 to get rid of one competitor.
Yeah. So that's so it's $25 per competitor that you knock.
Right.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. We should probably not share this part.
Probably, and we probably shouldn't share this part. And we have about a 55 to 77% success rate too. So,
oh boy,
all right, so it gets even better.
All
but yeah, so basically with that program, I mean, we are going out and we're actively trying to get people removed from Google My Business, and we either work off our clients' lists or we actually make the list for them.
Yeah.
And so if we can find 2 violations, usually not a problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, like I said, almost everybody is violating the guidelines in one way or another.
That is scary. Thank goodness for people like you, Ben. The huge advantage of being a platinum Google My Business expert.
Well, it's actually not being a platinum product expert that gives the advantage there. It's just experience. It's like
for thousands of businesses, gotten them back when they got banned. Wow.
Well, yeah. And the thing is that when you're looking at reinstatements and verifications and spam, it's all kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we're still all going back to the guidelines, right? And if you understand the guidelines, yeah, being a platinum product expert, it's good because I get to talk to Google and I know how Google works, right? So, but they don't share everything. Like they don't share ranking secrets, they don't share all the deep, dark secrets about spam or anything like that, because the fact is they don't want anybody knowing their secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but it comes down to experience.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking experience, to put that into perspective, if you include the spam networks that I have reported, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of listings that I have personally gotten removed from Google My Business. So that's why I say it just comes down to experience. Awesome. When you know what they need and you know what they want and you can put it together, you can work magic.
We're going to share my affiliate links below so people can sign up.
All they need to do is say your name, Dennis. That's it.
Oh man, Ben, this is fantastic. Any other final thoughts for our local service businesses and agencies that they need to know about GMB?
You need to pay attention to Google My Business. That's the thing. A lot of companies and a lot of agencies even, they look at GMB and they say it's going to be a set it and forget it type of thing. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to optimize it one time, and I'm going to go walk away. You can't do that. The most successful real estate agents, for instance, that I know, doctors are horrible at this, by the way. They neglect their Google My Business profile. It's sad. But some realtors, usually luxury, are very on top of their GMB profile. They're answering reviews. They're getting reviews. They're out there making Google My Business posts. They're answering messages from Google My Business. There's so many conversion points on GMB. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane when you look at it and you say, well, why are you not doing this? It'll take you 10 minutes a day, if that. Just do it. So, which is why we have a GMB management service. You were talking about identity, and which is where we manage the entire GMB profile. Includes call tracking, backups too, as well, by the way. But the whole reason that we came up with the program is because of people like dentists and doctors, etc., that they're just not paying attention to it and they're not doing it, And the reason is because they don't have the time or the energy or creativity, really, because you have got to be creative when you're picking images and doing posts, just like social media, and they just don't have the time and they need somebody to handle it for them. So yeah, so the biggest takeaway I would say is one, manage your Google My Business profile. It's worth it. 90% of your business is going to come from it. Get reviews. 86% of people want to see reviews in the last 2 weeks. Again, you want that 90%? Answer your reviews. Don't play games. If you want to play games, play them the right way. Rebrand your business if you want to put keywords into your title, into your business name. I can help you with that, by the way. It's the assurance program. Now, but seriously, if you're going to do it the right way, and then take a look at the bad actors in your backyard, just like we were talking about with spam. It's very easy to really knock out somebody who's not playing by the rules. And if they're not playing by the rules and you need to, well, you should even the playing field. It's that simple. So if you're doing those things, you're going to win with Google My Business. It's going to send you business. And I got to say this actually, because we're speaking to realtors, is local service ads. Get involved. It's free. Or pause on that for about 3 seconds. Okay. It's free to sign up. Doesn't cost you anything, just like Google My Business. It is a cost per lead situation. I think it's about $30 a lead for a real estate agent.
Yeah, depending on the area.
Yeah. You'll get a bunch of phone calls for rentals, but just don't put rentals on your profile and you can dispute them. That easy. So you're leaving a lot on the table. I was talking to a good friend of mine in California just last week. And actually, you might know him. Remember Derek Vaughn? Yeah. So he's a real estate agent now. So anyway, he's out of marketing himself. Anyway, so but yeah, no, I was asking him about LSA, and he's like, I don't want the rental leads. I'm like, dude, I was like, so what? Have an agent, have somebody pick up your phones for you then. Okay, so they can filter out the rental leads and do a hot swap over to your cell phone for real leads. Anyway, yeah, I've got tons of real estate agents that do it and they make bank off of it.
It's the hottest secret in real estate, LSA for local service ads.
Yeah. $30 for a qualified lead. Where in the world are you going to get that? You're not going to get it from any of the aggregators, that's for sure.
We should do another episode just on local service ads. 30 minutes going in deep.
Absolutely. Why not? Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Wow, what an incredible time we've had together, Ben. And I hope all you guys enjoyed it. All these things even I didn't know about Google My Business. This is the Coach U Show. I'm so glad you're here. Go reach out to Ben, hire him from Steady Demand on any of these 3 products. If you use our link, maybe we'll get a little bit of a cut. But either way, the assurance or the spam or the identity, these are things that you need.